This is State Representative Jeffrey Elmore. Welcome to this installment of the weekly session update, where you will hear about bills, current issues facing North Carolina, and actions of the North Carolina House. Let's get started. Due to inaction at the federal government in Congress dealing with an additional relief package or making adjustments to the COVID relief package that was sent down prior, the CARES Act, we had money that was left on the table that we had to expend by year end, or we would have to revert the funding back to the federal government. Out of this concept and continued needs dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, we developed House Bill 1105, the Corona Relief Act 3.0. I want to go over some of the highlights that are in the act and talk about some specifics that relate in the act to the earthquake that was in Allegheny and some specific education provisions that were in it. High points of the act that was passed today with overwhelming support, even from the Democrats in the chamber. I believe there were only 10 that voted against it and only 4 in the Senate. It's now on the way to the governor, and hopefully with that vote count, he will sign this bill. It includes child care support of $335 to North Carolina parents. What this is, if you filed for a child tax credit in 2019 with the federal government, if you receive that, what you will be receiving is a $335 deposit into your account, whatever was associated with your tax return, or a paper check if you filed by mail. Now, if you did not file a tax return, if you're at a threshold where you did not file taxes, that you can apply for this money. The goal of this money is to get money directly to parents of children, considering all the things that they are facing because of COVID, dealing with the school reopening. There's just additional cost and time that parents are facing. So we wanted this to be very focused on the families and what they were going through. So you would be receiving a $335 child care support check, basically, that will come October 15th. Also dealing with the unemployment, we are still dealing with major unemployment issues across the state, especially with the processing of the claims. What we did was increase the benefit by $50 a week, that's $200 a month, to take advantage of the proposed plan from President Trump, where the federal government is matching the other dollars. This made it necessary so we could leverage that and meet the goal of the president and his vision dealing with the unemployment benefits. The package included $75 million for PPE across the state, $17 million in grants for exceptional children's services, $50 million to the Lost Wages Assistance Program. This is a state-level program to help businesses that did not qualify for the federal PPE program to be able to get some help dealing with their paychecks to their employees. We included an additional $45 million for the Small Business Grant Program to help our struggling businesses that are continuing to hurt under the executive orders that are keeping them closed. $38 million for direct services for behavioral health. Those are your LME, MCOs, to get money down there. And also to support safe elections. We're realizing that we are having problems statewide finding actual poll workers. These are not the people that are handing you materials as you go into the polls. These are the actual folks that are checking the voter rolls, helping with the ballots, etc. We've increased their pay in this package that they will get an additional $100 above what they currently would get for doing that service, and also put more money into the local boards of elections because of all of the changes that are having to happen due to COVID-19, and also because of the influx of the absentee ballots, because many people are applying for this opportunity to vote by mail, and is creating an insurge at the local level. Now, some specific provisions that I want to talk about first is dealing with the education provisions, something that was huge for our K-12 schools because we're not sure about the enrollment numbers. Our traditional head count is very difficult to take in virtual learning, but that is the way that we fund the schools. So what we did is what's called a hold harmless provision based on projections. Each year, the school systems are projected on what their numbers might be. If they're a growing system, they take in the patterns of the past few years to see what that projection projected number would be, and then they're funded on that projected number. And in normal situations, what happens is the actual head count takes place in the fall, and then you adjust. So if the projection was way too high, money would have to be sent back to Raleigh. If it was way too low, additional money would be sent to the system. Well, that creates a problem in this virtual learning environment. So the approach that we took was a hold harmless approach with projections. What this will do is keep our systems whole, and it does not penalize if a system's growing or if a system is declining. I think that this base budget move, and it's just 12 lines in the bill, but it impacts millions of dollars across the state. This makes sure that our teachers are preserved, their jobs are preserved, our TA's jobs are preserved, that the ship is still sailing as we continue to work through the pandemic. That was a huge part of the bill that I was happy to work on with full appropriations chairs to make them understand the best approach that we could take. Because if we took the wrong approach with that, we could have had systems that were losing hundreds of thousands of dollars and then systems that were gaining hundreds of thousands of dollars that might not have needed it. This is a good balance across the state. Also in this, there was a total increase of $115 million to education dealing with COVID. This goes from helping the universities with PPE, helping the K-12 with PPE, and other things. Now, there are some specifics that we put in the bill. One of the things that we did was deal with the Opportunity Scholarship Program. What we are finding with the program, first of all, we had a wait list. And most of the children that were on the wait list were in kindergarten and first grade. And the way the program was set up was that it had a cap on that age child to make sure that the funds in the account were distributed across all grade levels. Well, what we're finding is majority of the kids that are on the wait list are in kindergarten or first grade. And what is happening with COVID is many parents, because the choices they're having to make because their workplace is shut down, or they're making a choice between, I've got to stay at home with my 3 kids instead of working, they are looking for other options, and we need to make those options available to them. So the adjustment that we made to the Opportunity Scholarship Program actually does not increase the expenditure at all. You may hear that, but that's false. The money is in the account for this. We lifted the K-1 cap, and what that allows is the wait list will be eliminated, and the kids that are wanting to go into the program and receive the scholarship fund to go to a private school, a Christian school, whatever school of their choice, they would have the availability of these funds. Now, back to the hold harmless, I forgot to make a point. The only public school employee that is affected by the head count that is in their school is the principal. Something that I worked on and made sure was inserted in here, and it was inserted literally a day before the bill was published, is that we hold our principals harmless with their salaries. So a principal is not going to decline in pay this year due to a lower head count. Now I want to talk about something a little bit more localized. Our friends to the north in Allegheny County were struck by the earthquake, and I've talked with 3 commissioners, county commissioners from Allegheny. I've talked with a couple of the judges that serve in that area on the impact. The courthouse up there has a massive crack in it from the effects of the earthquake. The VFW hall that's there on 21, I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do with it because it shifted the building off of the foundation, and those kind of that kind of damage is across the county. Even there was a declaration of emergency for Allegheny County, Surrey, Wilkes, and Ashe if there was anyone affected in the surrounding counties dealing with the earthquake. What we did in reaction to this is that we did a creation of an earthquake disaster recovery reserve. This reserve is going to have $24 million placed into it. Out of the $24 million, there's a specific $600,000 appropriation for the repairs to the courthouse. There also is $160,000 direct appropriation to the VFW post. They also are receiving some grant money from the National VFW organization. Keep the VFW in Sparta in your thoughts and prayers. Now, the remainder of the section shall be used for the following purposes related to the earthquake: short-term housing, short-term rental, demolition, home reconstruction, septic tank reconstruction, home repair reimbursements, county, municipal, and water sewer repair, which is a very big deal. Finally, this is State Representative Jeffrey Elmore. I hope you enjoyed this installment. And remember, for more info, check out jeffreyelmore.com. And also, like my Facebook page, Jeffrey Elmore for NC House.